Have you ever wondered what the ancient world thought about growing old? Not just surviving the years, but thriving in them, filled with wisdom, respect, and a deeper sense of purpose? Well, over 2,000 years ago, one man dared to challenge how people saw aging, and what he wrote is more relevant today than ever. This isn't about some dusty old scroll. This is about timeless advice that can completely transform the way we approach our later years. And the best part? It comes from someone who lived long, thought deeply, and was respected by emperors, senators, and philosophers alike. His name was Cicero, and what he said might just change your life. If you're over 60, or love someone who is, this video is for you. Because aging in today's world often feels like a problem to fix or a disease to delay. But what if that's all wrong? What if aging is actually a sacred stage of life, meant for growth, reflection, and guidance? You see, Cicero, the great Roman philosopher and statesman, believed that aging was not something to fear, but something to honor. He wrote one of history's most famous essays on aging, De Senectute, or On Old Age. In it, he didn't complain about wrinkles or weak knees. He talked about legacy, about character, about what it means to live a life that gets better, not worse, with time, and in a world obsessed with youth. His words are a powerful reminder that the later chapters of life might be the most important ones of all. In this video, we'll uncover 5 powerful lessons Cicero gives us. Lessons that can help you age with wisdom, earn respect, and rediscover a deep sense of purpose. Each one is backed not just by philosophy, but by real stories, modern psychology, and practical tips you can use right now. So whether you're already in your 60s, just approaching them, or supporting someone who is, you'll walk away from this video with a fresh, hopeful, and empowering view of aging. Let's start with the first lesson, and it's a big one. Because Cicero's first truth about aging is something most people get completely wrong, and fixing it might change the way you see your entire life story. Cicero begins his essay with a bold idea. Old age should not be feared, it should be welcomed. That's right. He flips the whole modern mindset on its head. Most people today see aging as a decline, a slow slide into irrelevance, aches and fading memories. But Cicero? He saw it as the final act of a play, rich with meaning, full of reflection, and deeply needed by society. He wrote, "For old age, if it does not destroy all the faculties, has a greater calm and freedom from ambition than youth itself." That means the pressures of trying to prove yourself, the chaos of competition, the noise of always chasing the next thing, they fade. And in that silence, something greater can emerge. Wisdom. Now think about this. You've lived decades. You've loved, lost, struggled, succeeded, failed, and risen again. You've seen trends come and go. You've seen generations rise. You carry stories that no one else can tell. That experience? That's priceless. So why does society often treat older adults as if they're invisible? It's not because elders lack value. It's because modern culture forgot how to see it. And that's exactly why Cicero's lesson matters now more than ever. Aging is not about loss. It's about accumulation. You've earned your years. Every line on your face is a line in your legacy. And if you still have breath in your lungs, you still have something to teach. And here's the wild thing. Modern science agrees. Psychologists have found that emotional intelligence, perspective-taking, and decision-making actually improve with age. What fades slightly in speed increases in depth. Dr. Laura Carstensen, a professor at Stanford, calls this the positivity effect. Her research shows that as people age, they tend to focus more on meaningful experiences, deeper relationships, and lasting values. In other words, the brain naturally shifts toward wisdom, just like Cicero said over 2 millennia ago. So maybe, just maybe, your greatest strength isn't behind you. It's in you, right now. Take Charles, for example. He's 72. He used to be an accountant, a father, and a Sunday League softball player. Now, he's a mentor to young business owners in his community. They call him Coach Charlie. Not because he knows every new tech trick, he doesn't, but because his advice saves them years of mistakes. When asked why he volunteers, Charles says, "I spent a lifetime learning the hard way. Why let that go to waste?" That is the Cicero mindset. If you're watching this, wondering if your best years are over, let me tell you something powerful. You're not a burnt-out candle. You're a lighthouse. And the thing about lighthouses? They don't run around trying to light everyone up. They just stand strong and shine. And the ships? They come looking for the light. Your wisdom is your light. Your purpose is still active. Even if you move slower, speak softer, or need more rest, your value hasn't dimmed. In fact, the world needs you more than ever. Now, if this first lesson helped you feel a little more powerful in your own skin, wait until you hear what Cicero says next. Because lesson 2 is about how to stay mentally sharp, and the surprising truth behind keeping your brain alive and awake in your later years. And spoiler, it's not crossword puzzles. Cicero believed that mental sharpness wasn't something that faded naturally with age. It faded when it was neglected. In his essay, he writes that the aged can retain their mental faculties as long as they stay mentally active. It sounds simple, but in today's world, it's revolutionary. Because so many people believe a dangerous lie, that memory loss, forgetfulness, and brain fog are just inevitable parts of getting older. But Cicero didn't buy that, and neither should you. He argued that our minds are like muscles. They grow stronger when exercised and wither when ignored. He pointed to philosophers, writers, and politicians who remained mentally sharp well into old age. His view was clear. The secret to staying sharp is staying curious. Reading, reflecting, engaging. Not just consuming entertainment passively, but thinking actively. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you learned something new, just for the joy of learning it? This is not about solving equations or memorizing facts. It's about keeping your brain engaged, asking questions, following curiosity, challenging yourself. It's about what researchers today call neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to adapt, grow new connections, and strengthen old ones, no matter your age. Studies have shown that seniors who continue to learn through hobbies, language learning, music, or simply reading and discussion show improved memory, mood, and even longer lifespans. Take Elena. She's 68, retired from a job in insurance, and never considered herself tech-savvy. But last year, she signed up for a digital storytelling course at her local community center. "At first, I just wanted to learn how to send better videos to my grandkids," she said. "But then I fell in love with editing. I'm telling my own story now, frame by frame." She didn't just pick up a skill, she reignited her brain. That's the kind of learning Cicero meant, not just academic, but meaningful. Keeping your mind alive doesn't require hours of study. It can be as simple as a few minutes each day. Ask questions when you read the news. Challenge yourself to explain something new to a friend. Keep a journal, not to be perfect, but to keep thinking out loud. Try one new thing a week, a book, a podcast, a conversation about something you've never discussed before. These are what I call mental micro-workouts. They keep your mind flexible, focused, and alive. And just like Cicero suggested, they remind you that aging is not about decline. It's about deepening your mind. Let's reframe something. Aging isn't the closing of a book. It's the final chapters, where everything comes together. It's where your perspective is finally broad enough, deep enough, and clear enough to see the bigger picture. Your brain is not broken. It's seasoned. It's matured. It's ready to synthesize everything you've ever learned into wisdom. And wisdom isn't about speed. It's about clarity. So next time you forget where you put your keys, remember, you might not recall every detail, but you understand life more than ever before. And that's the real power of an aging mind. Coming up, we'll dive into Cicero's next lesson, perhaps the most counterintuitive one yet. Because it's not about your mind, it's about your body. And the truth about how strength, movement, and vitality don't end in your 60s, unless you believe they have to. Cicero, even over 2,000 years ago, knew something that modern science keeps proving over and over again. The body is not separate from the mind. It's deeply connected to it. And how you treat your body in older age affects not just your health, but your dignity. In De Senectute, Cicero defends physical activity in later life, saying that exercise and moderation preserve old age from deterioration. He wasn't talking about six-pack abs or running marathons. He meant sustained vitality, movement that supports your independence and confidence. And here's the powerful truth. You don't have to be fast to be strong. You don't have to be young to be active. What you need is intention. Too many people over 60 believe that physical decline is inevitable, that slowing down means giving up, that stiffness, aches, and imbalance are just part of the deal. But the truth is, movement is medicine. It's not about working out to impress anyone. It's about standing up without help, reaching for a glass without pain, taking a walk without fear of falling. These everyday movements are freedom, and freedom is dignity. Researchers today talk about a concept called functional fitness. It's not about lifting weights or running laps. It's about preserving the ability to do the things you love, gardening, dancing, playing with grandkids, walking through a market without fear, pain, or dependence. And it starts with tiny decisions made daily. Standing a little longer, stretching each morning, taking the stairs when you can, moving with purpose, even if just in your own living room. Harold is 74. After a bad fall in his driveway, he stopped walking much. He became afraid. I started thinking my body had betrayed me, he said. I felt useless. But after a friend pushed him to try a local senior mobility class, just 20 minutes, twice a week, something changed. I remembered I still had a body. It wasn't the one I had at 30, but it still worked, and that made me want to move more. Today, Harold does short walks around his block every morning. He says it clears his head better than coffee. And more than that, it gave him back his confidence. You don't move just to stay alive. You move because your body deserves it. Your body carried you through every season of life, through work, through joy, through grief, through growth. It deserves your care now more than ever. And here's the twist. The less you move, the harder it becomes. But the more you move, the more your body remembers. The memory of strength lives inside your muscles, and it only takes small sparks to reignite it. No one's asking you to run a race. But every time you choose to rise, stretch, walk, or even stand tall, you are saying to yourself, I am still here. I still matter. I still move forward. Start with one ritual, maybe morning stretching for 5 minutes, or walking to check the mailbox, or light chair yoga. Make it sacred. Make it yours. Put music on. Make it a moment of peace, not pressure. This isn't about pushing yourself until you break. It's about telling your body gently every day, I'm listening. Let's keep going. And remember what Cicero said. Old age is respected only if it defends itself, maintains its rights, avoids dependence. He wasn't being harsh. He was being honest. Strength is not about pride. It's about self-respect. And now, we reach perhaps Cicero's most meaningful insight. Because what happens when the body slows down, and even the mind quiets a bit? Where does meaning come from, then? In our next section, we explore how purpose doesn't retire. It evolves. And Cicero's lesson here might be the secret to waking up every day with direction, no matter your age. Cicero believed that the later years of life were not a winding down. They were a passing on, a transition from ambition to mission. And this mission, he said, was one of the most meaningful a person could ever embrace: the transfer of wisdom. He wrote, "As I have planted trees which will bear fruit only in years to come, so I have devoted myself to causes which will benefit future generations." That's not retirement. That's legacy. And here's what most people get wrong. Legacy is not just what you leave behind when you die. Legacy is what you live. Every day you choose to guide, support, or teach someone else. It's in your words, your presence, your example. You've walked through life's storms. You've made hard decisions, seen hard truths, and built a sense of what matters. That experience is a gift, but it only becomes powerful when it's shared. Cicero believed the elder's role was to guide the younger, not with commands or criticism, but with calm conviction. To be the steady hand, the listening ear, the voice of context in a noisy world. Imagine what happens when a generation full of experience decides to speak up, not with complaints, but with clarity. That's not nostalgia, that's leadership. Martha is 76. She lost her husband 6 years ago and thought her most meaningful days were behind her. Until one afternoon at her community center, a young woman named Denise broke down in tears over her struggling marriage. Martha just listened. Then she gently said, "Let me tell you what 47 years of loving someone taught me." It wasn't therapy. It wasn't advice. It was connection. Today, Martha co-hosts a monthly wisdom circle at that same center, a place where seniors talk and younger adults listen. No one is lecturing. They're just living their legacy, out loud. Too often, the world tells seniors they're done. Their working years are over, their children are grown, and they should just rest now. But Cicero flips that narrative. This is not a time to disappear. It's a time to distill. You've spent decades collecting insights. Why keep them locked away? Whether it's helping a neighbor, mentoring a student, or simply telling your story, every act of transmission is a powerful way to stay useful. And usefulness, says Cicero, is the deepest kind of purpose. Legacy isn't always a grand foundation or a published book. It's often a moment, a lesson passed on, a conversation that echoes, a hand held during doubt. Cicero's wisdom urges us to think of purpose as a daily act, not a distant dream. Ask yourself, who around you could benefit from what you've learned? What story might help someone avoid your mistakes, or take courage from your survival? What wisdom are you carrying that could help someone today? That's legacy in motion. One of the simplest ways to activate this sense of purpose is to write what I call a letter of lessons. Imagine writing a note, not about your life story, but about what you've learned. 1 page, 5 lessons, for your kids, grandkids, friends, or even strangers. You don't need a stage, you just need your truth. When you write it, you'll realize you are still becoming someone, even now, especially now. In our final lesson, Cicero challenges us with something that feels a bit uncomfortable, but essential. He says the respect we receive in old age isn't automatic. It's earned by the way we live, the way we show up, and the way we treat others. Coming up next, we'll explore how to live in a way that inspires respect, not just expects it. In his final reflections, Cicero delivers a truth that may seem hard at first, but carries immense wisdom. Old age, especially when honored, must show that it is worthy of that honor. In other words, respect is not automatically given because of age. It's earned through how we live. This idea flips the modern script. We often expect respect simply for having made it this far, for enduring, for surviving. And yes, longevity deserves recognition. But Cicero challenges us. If we want to be seen as wise, kind, and strong, we must be those things. Even now, especially now. Respect, in Cicero's view, is the result of contribution and character. He believed older adults should model integrity, patience, and moral clarity, not just tell others what to do, but live the example. People respect what they can trust. And trust comes from consistency, doing what's right, even when no one's looking. This doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. Listening more, judging less, being firm in your values, but gentle with your words. Every interaction becomes a reflection of who you are and what you've learned. That's power, that's legacy, that's earned respect. There's a man in my town, Mr. Daniels. He's 82. Every morning he walks to the same grocery store, rain or shine, just to buy a newspaper and chat with the young cashier, not out of need, out of kindness. He asks her about school, offers advice only when asked, and every time he leaves, he smiles and says, "Keep being curious." She once told me, "I have 10-minute conversations with people all day, but with Mr. Daniels, it feels like I've just had a life lesson." He's not famous, he's not wealthy, but he's respected. Why? Because he lives with intention. He treats people with care. He shows up, not with a lecture, but with character. Cicero believed elders should be standard bearers, not in title, but in tone. You set the emotional temperature. If you carry anger, the room tenses. If you bring peace, the room softens. This isn't just about legacy, it's about leadership. Ask yourself, how do I show up for others? Am I someone who brings comfort, encouragement, insight, or someone who makes others feel small? The answer to that question often defines how much respect you receive, not just from others, but from yourself. Because ultimately, respect begins inside. You can't demand from others what you won't give yourself. That means waking up with dignity, dressing with intention, speaking with grace, walking with purpose, even if it's a slow walk. You are not an afterthought in this world. You are not past your prime. You are the carrier of memory, of history, of perspective. And if you live that truth, others will see it too. Cicero's vision of aging wasn't about decline. It was about design, about shaping a life where the final chapters are filled with grace, service, wisdom, and strength. He saw old age not as the end, but as the crown. The time when everything comes together, when character is revealed, when legacy is built. You've heard the phrase, aging gracefully, but I'll offer you something better. Age powerfully, with purpose, with compassion, with dignity. Because Cicero was right. The later years aren't about what you can't do anymore. They're about what only you can do now. So whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, remember this. Your life is still in motion. Your value is still unfolding. And your wisdom? It's still needed. Don't let the world forget it. And more importantly, don't you forget it.